What's up, everybody? Aaron the Dog and Brandon of MMA Wagers here to
Not
break
Ryan.
down. Yeah, not Brian or Ryan or whatever I called you. Yeah, Ryan. We are here to break down LFA 105. Has a strawweight championship headlining bout because Lupita Gondinez just debuted in the UFC last week, where she was robbed of a decision against Jessica Penne. It is what it is. But we have a headlining bout of a strawweight title fight between Paulina Rodriguez or Pierangela Rodriguez. Sorry.
Three names.
Yeah. We'll just go with the two, though. But Pierangela Rodriguez taking on Svetlana Gotsyk in the Strawweight Championship bout. Always important who the LFA champions are. They just about all of the Strawweight champions have now made appearance in the UFC. Vanessa Demopoulos coming up here will also be making an appearance. She's a former strawweight champion, but LFA champions in general mean something. Also, we're the only people who are currently on YouTube who are breaking down the full LFA fights going into, we'll probably go about 35 minutes today with 6 fights to break down, but still, this is money that's available to bet on most betting sites. We've been pretty successful. We've only missed about 3 over our last 4 cards.
Last week was a very, very good card for us.
Yeah, I think we went 100%.
I went 5 for 5 anyways. I didn't predict the entire card because there were 2 fights up in the air, like that Hawaiian versus my boy, the guy with the mustache, Jose, or something. He was on his way to losing a unanimous decision, but he pulls off this triangle submission. And in hindsight, he does have multiple round 3 finishes. So it really doesn't surprise me that he pulled that off. And I've noticed Hawaiians have been fading later in fights. There's been numerous times where Hawaiians have lost in round 3. Kevin Natividad, who we'll talk about tonight, lost to Miles Johns in round 3. There was another Hawaiian not too long ago. It's just something I've kind of picked up on. So they might want to work on their cardio or just
it's kind of how they've always fought. I mean, BJ Penn, not exactly a cardio king at any point in his life.
He did knock out Diego in round 5.
Well, I mean, but I mean, still, it's definitely something that was always a critique of BJ Penn's.
Yeah, and Hawaiians, they go 0 to 100.
Yeah, Yancy Medeiros, same thing. Max Holloway, not an example of that, obviously.
Volume all day.
Yeah, exactly. But in general, yeah, very successful card. We've been saying this over and over again with the LFA. It's been successful. It's live on Fight Pass. You're going to have to go 2 screens this Friday because you got the PFL also going on, but that's never stopped us before.
PFL might end early, actually. I noticed it starts at 3:55 p.m. Eastern. There's 10 fights, so say 5 hours.
I think they want to shoot. I think they're on ESPN Plus at 8 p.m. So they'll probably
maybe that's the main
the main card starts at 8 p.m. They'll probably go.
So they might be having an intermission between the prelims and the main card,
which is what Bellator does. A few other organizations. So you'll be able to catch the second. You'll be able to catch the second half of the fights too. Which the second half of this fight card is much closer than the first half.
Last week.
Yeah, but either way, I'm excited. Always, there's more and more familiar names getting onto these cards. So let's go ahead and jump in here. So we are jumping in at the light heavyweight division, and I am going to use the split screen today and try to get better and better at that. We have a fighter in Zach Pauga at 2-0, but a guy who I am familiar with. Taking on Logan Nail. This is at 205. Definitely going to want to pay attention to the weights tonight because there are a couple surprise weights. We got a welterweight fighter moving up to 205 for the first time after 2 years off. Later we'll talk about. But this fight, 2 guys who fought at light heavyweight in their last fight. Zach Pauga, I believe, is in his mid-30s, former football player, fighting on a Team Elevation. So he talked about how he's been training with Curtis Blades, been training with all the guys over at Elevation, getting a lot of rounds in. One thing I like about him, he is only 2-0, and I do like he has some former experience as a professional athlete. He's also 5-0 as an amateur, and those fights did come over 2 years, so both 2019 and 2020. Since going pro, 2-0, has a decision and KO win in his last fight against Ashby Thomas. Ashby Thomas, one of these guys who was fighting at welterweight always before the fight he took here against Zach Pauga. So he really came in very undersized, looked pretty bloated at 205, and Zach took care of him in one round, avoided the takedowns and put him away. Looked really quick and athletic. I really like Zach. I like what I've seen. He's a little late bloomer into the MMA game. I think he is 32 or 33 years old, but just very well-rounded, very athletic, still in his prime here. Got the finish, went the distance in his debut. I like all that. Logan Nail, I don't know as much about. I do know he's going to be a longer fighter here, 6'3", and has a 79-inch reach, 31 years old. And he's 2-1, LFA debut, 2 quick knockouts for his 2 wins, one against a 6-3 guy, however. And then his loss coming to Neil Ewing, who's a pretty good guy and it was over in Bellator. Neil Ewing's 5-0, so
6-0 now.
6-0 now, correct. And so Nail definitely has the experience advantage here in terms of professional fights and in terms of the level of competition. I do like Zach in terms of who he's preparing for. Team Elevation, obviously a very good team, and Zach very familiar with, competing at a high level for a long time in various athletics and looks to have transferred into MMA well. So I'm going to take Zach here. I'll take him to get, I'm going to say his first submission win. I think maybe he's a little smarter, uses his wrestling here rather than standing and banging with a guy with 2 sub-2-minute knockouts and good reach advantage. Looks to have some good, decent power as well. So I'm going to go with Zach Pauga here by submission. And I'll say round 1. I'll just say the Nail guys kind of kill or be killed, and Zach kills him.
Yeah, it's Zach Pauga is an LFA. He's familiar with the LFA at this point.
Doesn't spell it the same way, Zach. He spells it Z-A-K. So
yeah,
I know that my brother is also a Zach, or Z-A-C. He spells it. I know my brother, who's also a Zach, has a problem with anybody who doesn't spell it the way he spells it. So just a little nugget there. But go ahead.
I've always thought it should be Z-A-C-H as well.
That's
but
how
yeah,
my brother spells it.
This guy likes to be the lazy way out, only 3 letters. But yeah, he's looked good in the LFA. 3rd fight in the LFA now.
Yep.
We got Logan Nail making his LFA debut, coming off a win in XKO. He beat Jose Lejai, knockout round 1. I would say the opposition is quality over quantity. Logan Nail has faced the quality opponents, but Zach has the quantity of fights. He's 2-0 as a professional, 5-0 as an amateur. That's 7 fights altogether. Logan Nail, 2-1 as a professional, 2-0 as an amateur. So that's only 5 fights since 2014. So he obviously has a part-time job, or maybe even a full-time job. He definitely doesn't. He's not taking this as seriously as most fighters would that really want to rise in the rankings and make good paydays and eventually get to the UFC. We got around the same age here, 32 and 31, but these guys are light heavyweights, so that's actually like right in the peak of your career you should be in. Zach's looking to get that UFC contract or contender series opportunity. If he gets another win here, that'll be 3-0 in LFA. Logan Nail, like you said, he's coming off a bit of a layoff, approaching 2 years, and his 2 professional victories have come in the first round, so we really don't know how he looks after those initial 5 minutes. We know Zach can go 3 hard rounds. He's done it in LFA before. He's done it in amateur promotions. So I'm going to go with the more tested athlete, the athlete that's just been performing more recently. and showing good results. And he's also coming from, like you said, Elevation Fight Team. We got numerous fighters from there. Austin Hubbard just had a great win
Yep.
on Saturday night. And yeah, I like what I see from Zach. I also have seen Zach fight in the LFA. You probably caught it. It was January 29th this year. He got that knockout ground and pound with elbow and punches. Looked
Yeah.
pretty dominant. So he's got momentum. I'm gonna ride the wave with Zach here.
Yeah, it's a completely different fighter here in Logan now for this fight. I know we don't know a lot about Logan, but he is predominantly a striker. Ashby Thomas was a welterweight wrestler
Yeah.
who came in bloated and with terrible bleach blonde hair.
But he did what he was supposed to do.
Yeah, no, I agree, but this is how does he deal with the striker as opposed to the grappler here? So these are all things that he needs to check off before he's getting any sort of contender series shot, especially at 3-0 or so. But yeah, I think this should be Zach all day. The odds agree with us, -800.
What?
Yeah,
That seems too much. Low level MMA.
yeah, it's crazy, but
No,
I mean,
I would not pay that.
Zach has the recency bias of being in the LFA twice in the past 4 months, I believe, or 5
Yeah,
months.
but he hasn't even proven anything. There's no opponents I can even point
No,
out.
I know. I'm just saying you've seen him on Fight Pass twice.
Yeah, it is recency bias.
Yeah, and you can't go on Fight Pass and see Logan Nail getting his 57-second knockout.
And
so
these are like heavyweights. He's got two knockouts, Logan. All it takes is one punch to change the whole outcome of the fight.
Yeah, and he's going to be a longer, taller guy. So -800, way too much. Yeah, it's a straight up pass, unfortunately.
But I'll take Zach by decision.
Yeah, I got Zach. I've got Zach by submission. I think he's looking to really make a statement to the brass, and he does know that he's a little bit older, so he's looking to go a little bit quicker to get to UFC than maybe most. But we will move on here to the next fight. We're at welterweight now, and this one is between Mark Martin, not of NASCAR. But of wrestling. I don't know if you know who Mark Martin is. He's old school NASCAR guy. He drove the Pfizer.
Has he ever beaten Jeff Gordon is the question.
Yeah, he used to have a big rivalry with Jeff Gordon. That ends our NASCAR MMA
let's get back to MMA.
That will not be happening. But Mark Martin is taking on Renato Valente. This is a good old fashioned wrestler versus Muay Thai. That's what we got here. And first we'll talk about Renato Valente. I'm a little less familiar with him, 28 years old, but I was able to see a couple of his fights online. 6 foot, 74-inch reach, so good numbers for 170. He did miss weight in his last fight. He's weighed in at 172.9, and it was in September of it was in September. Actually, it was a catchweight fight, so he didn't miss weight. It was 178 catchweight fight against Abraham Vaidsawa. And, don't know who that is. It was in September of 2019, and he lost in the third round. Or he won in the third round, I apologize, by rear naked choke. So, I'm assuming his opponent probably came in close to the weight limit of 178. And, it is impressive. He does have several rear naked choke finishes. Maybe this, is not as much of a striker versus grappler as I thought originally. But when I've seen Renato, particularly in losses where he's stuck on his feet a little bit, he really starts to spam leg kicks, and doesn't just throw leg kicks, but he throws them naked. It's definitely something I don't like seeing. I think Mark can definitely crack him with an overhand right or a strike, or catch those leg kicks and take him down to the ground, get him into his world. With Renato, I'm just not really too familiar with his competition level. I'm not really impressed with it from what I've been able to see. He does have a decent amount of finishes. He has a lot of rear naked chokes, and they come later. So I do think he has a good gas tank that indicates. But again, Mark Martin, I'm a little more familiar with. He has fought in LFA before, 27-year-old out of Ohio State. We know how they do with their wrestling. Lance Palmer, fighting out of MMA Lab as well. So Mark Martin training with really good guys, training with the Benson Hendersons of the world and a lot of other good guys at MMA Lab. He beat Matthew Colquhoun in his last fight by decision. Matthew is LFA veteran and a tall, rangy wrestler and grappler, and he just kind of outclassed him in the grappling range. His LFA debut, he got a ground and pound finish as well. Mark is very, very powerful, very physically gifted, nicknamed Showtime. Doesn't fight like Showtime Pettis. 6 foot tall, 74-inch reach, so they're even there. I just think Mark is going to be able to have a lot of luck with him, and I just think that Mark uses his wrestling to get on top, looks for ground and pound. But 27 versus 28, two guys entering their peak, 6 foot, 74-inch reach. I just rate Mark's level of competition in his gym and just overall his skills match up a little bit better with Renato here. I think Renato looks to keep this on the feet for the most part. I don't think he's going to be able to avoid the wrestling of Mark.
Yeah, I like Mark Martin here. He's also making his third LFA fight. He's already got 2 fights under the promotion. Renato making his LFA debut. He's also coming off a 1.5-year layoff. He last competed in Bellator, winning against Abraham Vasso in round 3 submission. But Abraham Vasso is 33 at this point. Like, he's no up-and-comer. Coming out of Dragon House MMA, I don't think I've ever seen a Dragon House MMA fighter win while there's odds available. I think those guys are too one-dimensional, in my opinion. The fighters from that camp. And Mark Martin, coming from MMA Lab, one of my favorite gyms at the moment. John Crouch is, I think, one of the head trainers or head coaches. Sean O'Malley, Kyler Phillips.
Mike Hamels.
Pardon?
Mike Hamels.
Yep. Yeah, man. Like,
really
the list
good.
goes
Got to
on.
be a great and all these guys are of his size too.
Yeah, so he's getting rounds in every day with killers in the MMA game right now. Some of the best fighters that you can think of. And Renato, he's a Brazilian fighter. 7-3 as a professional, so 10 total fights. He does have a little more experience than Mark, but Mark has been so active lately. He's fought twice since he's fought 2 times since Renato's fought. Renato's gonna have some ring rust. I think Mark's a great fighter, man. He's an up and comer. He fights to his abilities. He doesn't fight like, he just sticks to his bread and butter. And he's probably gonna take this guy down, Renato, and I would say ground and pound or potentially a submission. Renato has never been submitted, but he's lost by 2 knockouts. So I would just Mark's gonna take him down and do what he wants, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree. And the odds, I was expecting kind of another Zach Paluga line, but minus 325 for Mark. So parlayable for sure. That's very parlayable, especially with a few of the 1 or 2 of these other fights that I was kind of surprised on the closeness of. But yeah, I like Mark Martin in this fight. I like how he matches up with him physically and skill wise. And
just the activity Mark's had.
Yeah, exactly.
Big factor here.
Yeah, and Ohio State wrestlers have been pretty good MMA fighters. Lance Palmer and Mark Martin, 2 of the top. And this moves us to the next fight. We're at 205 here. And this is for Bruce. Yeah, we're at 205. This is for Bruce Souto and Chistian Torres, I believe. Is how you say it. It's spelled like it should be Christian Torres, but it's kind of spelled differently.
Like Christian Torres, but I would just say Christian Torres.
Yeah, so I am a little bit familiar with Chistian Torres
Yeah.
out of Paraguay, only 29 years old, which is surprising to me. Just feels like he's
Mhm.
kind of been around on the regional scene for a while now. 6 foot tall, 74-inch reach here, but these are light heavyweights. So we just broke down what was that, 155ers? You know,
Um,
yeah, 170ers. Yeah, we broke down
yeah.
170ers with 74-inch
Yeah, we
reaches. Now we
we
got
broke down the 205 fight earlier.
Yeah, and now we got
That
a
fight was heavy.
205er with a 74-inch reach in Chistian Torres. His last fight was back in September of 2020, where he took on Chide Nochukuani.
Bellator
Um,
event.
yeah, Bellator vet. We know the Ninja Tukuanis just overall. And, he kind of hung in there, but then got exposed in the second round, got kneed in the body, and then put up by punches. Has a win by strikes over a 20-6 guy named Askar Mazarov, who I'm not familiar with, but I do remember watching this fight over in Titan. Looks like a good Ukrainian prospect, 26 years old. Since the Chistian loss, he's gone on to rattle off 3 straight wins over very good opponents. So, very good win for Chistian there recently. And then had a loss to Mike Rhodes at LFA as well, where, no shame in there. Former UFC guy Mike Rhodes, Rufus Sport. Also has a win over Deshaun Boatwright. So that was after Boatwright had lost on the Contender Series to I'm blanking on his name right now. So I'm just gonna go. But Deshaun Boatwright fought against Alonzo
Alonzo
Menafield. Alonzo Menafield, where he got knocked out quickly. Chistian Torres also quickly knocked him out, and then haven't seen Deshaun Boatwright since. So don't know what really happened to him, but he's had a few wins where he's been able to play spoiler. Been in there with a lot of good guys. Had some losses, some good guys like Jamie Pickett as well. But ton of experience. He's 15-11. That is a
It's a
lot of
roller
losses.
coaster of a
Yeah.
career.
It's definitely a roller coaster of a career, but it's got some good wins, got some bad wins. We go over the Soledad de Cristo, which is Bruce Souto. So Bruce, I recognized him, but last time I saw him fight, and most of the times I've seen him fight, have been at 170, including his last fight in May of 2019, was at 170 pounds. It was a majority decision against a 15-6 guy in William Seeley. Now he's been off since then. Before that, he had probably his most impressive, highest rated win in Wendell Oliveira, where he got another decision. He's always fought at welterweight. He looked like a good-sized welterweight for sure, but this is going to be his first fight at 205. So after 2 years off, he's coming back 35 pounds heavier. Before I go any further, he's 31, almost 32 years old. So I get those weight cuts get tougher as you get a little older. He's fighting out Full House MMA, not familiar with that gym. I've got to see weigh-ins before I make any sort of action on this, just because I got to see what a guy who's gained 35 pounds since his last fight looks like physically and overall. But I think Chistian Torres, is a guy who he wins some, he loses some. That's just how he is, and he's just probably not the kind of guy I want to find out about in my first, light heavyweight fight if he's ready for this weight class or not. Chistian is not jumping around. He's constantly at 205. He has not fought since September of last year, so it's been nearly 6 months as opposed to over a year and a half. So those are things I like for Chistian. Chistian's been in there, if I had to guess, with better guys than Bruce Soto. So I think that the one stepping up competition-wise will be Bruce in this one. The one who's not been active is Bruce. I'm definitely leaning towards Chistian in this one. I think kind of exposing a little bit of Souto's game here and perhaps a lack of conditioning coming up to 205. I'll have to see how they look. And if Bruce really just looks like, oh my God, he's not killing himself anymore and just really, and then I'll get off Chistian. But Chistian's played spoiler before, man. I think he plays spoiler here. I only 29 years old. He's a younger guy as well. He's the guy who fights at this weight class. And yeah, I like Christian to play spoiler here.
Yeah, this is definitely a fight you want to wait to see the weigh-in photos later this evening. But this is interesting. You said Bruce is coming up 35 pounds.
And he's
insane.
always fought at welterweight too. He's not fought at middleweight even.
No, he's jumping 2 weight classes in MMA, which is crazy. In boxing, jumping 2 weight classes isn't a huge deal, but in MMA, that's 35 pounds.
It's a lot.
Yeah, and I've noticed Christian Torres has only lost to like really notable names: Chidi Nuchikuani, the Bellator vet; Mike Rhodes, the Duke Rufus staple; Jamie Pickett, who we've seen in the UFC.
Yeah.
Some of them aren't worth mentioning, but
the recent losses though have been to really good competition, and he has that 26-year-old Ukrainian fighter who since then has been on a 3-fight finishing streak. So
yeah, and,
Christian, I assume, was an underdog in that if odds would have been available.
Yeah, no odds on that one, but against Deshaun Boatwright, like you said, plus 610. If anybody has that, props on you, because that was like that's a car right there. If you bet the right amount, you could definitely buy a car. So plus 610, that's insane. I don't know the odds yet. We'll get to that. But Bruce Souto is on a hot streak. He's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 wins in a row. He's also beat Wendell Oliveira, who's 30-10. He's a vet at this point. He beat Magomedov, another Magomedov.
A 4-0 Magomedov who hasn't fought since that.
A 4-0 guy, though. A 5-0 guy.
He hasn't fought since then.
No, you got to really dig into these records.
Yeah.
Christian Torres has definitely faced the more quality opponents. I know he might have came on the wrong end on a few of them, but like at least he's getting that experience in, and at least he's in the cage with very formidable opposition. He's going to want to rebound here. He's 1-2 in LFA. If he loses this one, he could potentially get another LFA fight, but I think there's a lot on the line here. He's at this point 29. He's in the prime of his career. He just had a birthday March 31st. We saw our birthday boy last week, Chris Brown, cash for us, and he looked superb. I just find these fighters with birthdays coming up, or if they just had one, there's a lot of support around them. They have more family, more friends.
You're dedicated, man. You're giving up a leisure time for your craft, for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. That's
also you gotta be some sort of savage to lose 11 times and keep coming back. Like,
yeah, that's another thing.
I know that's like 11 losses, but still, like, that's savage to come back from those.
Yeah, but he always like wins one, loses one. He's just always up in the air.
Yep.
It's hard to get a good read on Christian Torres. He might have connections with a fighter we broke down last night on PFL. He's the Paraguay Canadian fighter.
Oh, Alex
what
Martinez.
Was his name?
Alex Martinez.
Yeah, Alex Martinez, undefeated. I bet you they have ties. These South American fighters go out there on their shield. It's kill or be killed. Bruce Souto isn't like, you wouldn't consider him like a knockout artist. He's only got 3 knockouts. He's more of a point fighter. And that might be a recipe for disaster against somebody who's going to try to take your head off.
So your pick? It's
tough. It's tough to say. Like, I hate betting on somebody who's been knocked out 6 times. That really alerts me. I would honestly maybe just sit back. Like, if I'm doing my Tapology picks, I'm probably not even going to pick this one. But betting wise, let's hear the odds.
Yep. So betting wise, we're gonna I think be staying clear of Bruce. Minus 325. He has the same favorite odds as Mark Martin.
I think it's all that momentum, 7-fight win streak.
Yeah, it's been almost 2 years.
Yeah, what was it? Yeah, exactly, 2 years. And he did win a majority decision. He knows how to go all 3 rounds.
Yeah, majority decision means someone had a draw for it.
Yeah, yeah. There was a 10-8 round in there. I don't know.
He's coming off a flat performance 2 years ago, 35 pounds up, and he's a minus 325 favorite.
I wish we had prop odds, because if there was props, it's easy. Torres inside the distance, or Souto by decision.
Yeah.
That's easy prop odds. But LFA, unfortunately, we got to just take what we can get.
Yeah, but that's a sneaky and interesting fight. I'm glad we were able to break it down. We're going to be moving on to a less interesting fight here. This one
less interesting. What?
This one is what's known as a squash match.
Is it the ladies?
Yeah, this is Tabatha Ricci, Tabatha Ricci, for whatever reason, they just don't want to like move her up. I get she's only 4-0, but she's taking on a 2-3 girl out of Orlando, Florida, in Shawna Ormsby. Tabatha Ricci, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu world champion, fighting out of Paragon, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Yeah, this is not going to go well for Shawna, also known as Bam Bam. Bam Bam is probably getting armbarred or submitted in some way very early on, and it will be for the first time because she is 2-3. She's also has a boxing bout in there. She lost, got knocked out.
She lost by submission as an amateur.
Yeah, she got knocked out. Okay, good. Yeah, I didn't get to her amateur, but yeah, she did lose by submission as an amateur by armbar to Lindsay Van Zant. Lindsay Van Zant, very good girl, good jiu-jitsu, fighting over in Invicta at atomweight. She's lost to Emily King as well. Emily King just got a win over Kayla Haracho over in Icon. She's coming off of a KO loss at the beginning of March in the first round to a 0-0 girl. And they're bringing her in here against Tabatha Ricci. Tabatha Ricci, 4-0, hyped up prospect, known for jiu-jitsu, 26 years old, known as BB Shark. LFA is all the way behind her. She took on a 1-5 girl last time out and armbarred her in 1 minute. Before that, took on a 0-0 girl and got a decision. Then before that was in a custom rules bout where she was fighting like it was basically combat submission. It's called Ippon, I believe is the name of it, but it's kind of like it's jiu-jitsu with a little bit of striking, similar to Sambo, but for Brazilian. Yeah.
What do you mean by a little bit of striking?
Strike, it's like slaps are allowed on the ground, I believe.
Okay.
So it's like similar to combat.
No elbows.
No elbows, no striking on the feet or
knees?
anything like that. No knees, no.
Okay.
Yeah, so
Kevin Holland slaps.
Tabatha disposed of a 1-5 Vanessa Grimes here. She's getting another squash opponent in Shawna. She's going to submit her in round 1. I don't have much else to say. Tabatha, I'm looking forward to her moving up and facing a little bit more appropriate competition.
Yeah, this weight class is 125? 115. Yes. Yeah, we got the strawweights, 115 pounders. Tabatha Ricci making a pretty quick turnaround. She just got her first LFA, her second LFA victory.
First finish.
But her first finish, yes. But in her LFA debut, she did get the shutout, 30-27 across the board. There was one judge that scored 29-28 for Grizel Ricoto. Shawna Ormsby, shout out. She followed me on Twitter, so I gotta just shout that out.
That's nice.
I want to see her succeed. Obviously, she just fought an Icon. We talked about that last night. Icon's a good promotion. People should be watching it. Most fighters you're gonna end up seeing eventually, or there's gonna be fighters on there that you're familiar with. She trains at the UFC gym, Winter Springs. So when I see a training camp that's affiliated with the UFC, that I don't know, that catches my eye. So obviously she's in good hands. But Tabatha is with Mackenzie Dern. And we've seen Mackenzie Dern is one of the best technicians I've ever seen. That last fight Mackenzie Dern had was a thing of beauty. You just watch that from beginning to end. you should, like, if somebody's getting to MMA and you want to teach them how to get an armbar, that's every single step is in there. Every single step. And
Yep.
if she's getting rounds in with Mackenzie Dern and they're training striking with Jason Perillo and just sharpening their tools alongside each other, I see Tabatha go a long way. She's 4-0. Like you said, she's 6-1 in the custom rules bout where you're allowed submissions and moderate strikes. She
Yep.
did lose a decision in that custom rules format, but she also won by 5 decisions. So she knows how to control her opponents, get that control time, and eventually get an armbar. Or, yeah, she's only got arm bars that I can see, but she obviously has more tools in her toolbox. And yeah, this should be another showcase performance for Tabatha Ricci.
Yeah.
But Shawna Ormsby is I just don't like counting anybody out. She's 2-3. She has something to prove. She's only won by decision. It's really tough to say she's gonna win this. She's not even
Yeah,
a
I get it.
she's not
You
even
follow
a
her on Twitter,
finisher.
so you don't have to make an official pick here. I'll save you the time here. Tabatha Ricci, first round submission win. Sorry.
That's
It's
what I
just,
had last time and it worked out. So
yeah, there's levels to this. With all due respect. Hopefully Shawna gets a few opportunities here. But 2-3, it's gonna be a rough.
but it's crazy that her opponents know exactly what she's gonna do and she can still do it. It's like with Habib. It's
Yeah,
just
and Tabatha, I'm not betting her. Not even I'm betting her minus 2,000.
I thought
Plus
it was only minus 1,000.
it's I'm seeing it
Must
anywhere so I'm seeing it anywhere from minus 2,000 to minus 3,000, depending on the site.
okay, it must have opened minus 1,000.
Yeah, so it opened at minus 1,750.
Okay, that's Demetrius Johnson odds.
Yeah, I mean it's just when you get these grappling superstars, people definitely have a hard time accepting anything other than that, especially when it's a girl 2-3. LFA doesn't do this a lot, but when LFA does set up squash matches, they get what they want almost every time, like more than any promotion I can remember. And they did this with Vanessa Grimes. They got their first round 1-minute sub, and I think they're going to get it here. This moves us on to the next
I
fight.
might just throw like $2.50 on Shawna.
Well,
it's still low level MMA at the same time.
Your sports book appreciates the donation, man.
Yeah.
So
Imagine $30 off of $2 though on one fighter. That's crazy.
Imagine only betting $2 on it. I just will straight up pass. I'll save my
pass.
I'll save my $2
enjoy
for
Tabatha's jiu-jitsu wizardry.
Yeah, I'll save my $2 for a can of Coke. So this will move us on to one of my favorite fights on the card, and this is at 145, and it's between Mr. Jake Childers versus Canaan Kawaihae. Canaan Kawaihae fought on the Contender Series. He took on Chase Hooper. He fights out of, he's been fighting out of Extreme Couture for this camp. I know this because I watched an interview with Canaan, and he saw Kai Kamaka in the background and said, "Hi, Kai Kamaka." 23 years old. He's been off for a couple years, 5-1. He's been off since his fight against Timothy Tevez, who we know Timothy Tevez.
Last week.
We broke him down, and he just missed out on being my underdog. Should have won that fight. It was a good one. But Canaan before that lost Chase Hooper on a really good Contender Series fight, actually. It was really close, and he cracked Chase Hooper a lot, which has gotten less and less impressive as we've gone a little further away from it. He does, besides that, his 4 wins all coming by stoppage, 1 or 3 of them by submission, 1 by referee stoppage. So he has some decent grappling, but I do think that, for Canaan here, one of my biggest concerns is the time off. He has not fought since 2018, December of 2018. And he had a couple broken hands that kept him out for a little while. He got kind of out of shape, got into shape. Only 23 years old, though. His career is far from over. For the most part, has not faced a very high level of competition. Timothy Tevez is a good win for sure. He was only 3-0 at the time. Timothy was
only on the Hawaiian circuit.
It was in Bellator.
Oh wow, okay. Oh, but they had a show in Bellator, a show in Hawaii. That was probably the Hawaii show.
Yeah, and this is in 2018 when a Bellator prelim did not quite have the value it has today. So they did a lot of times fill out those cards with regional talent. So that kind of explains why he had the one and done in Bellator. Then had some injuries, just tough luck. He's back. Jacob Childers, 32 years old, 5'8" here. He's fights a lot like Aaron McKenzie. He's just a grinder, fights with a lot of pressure, has good wrestling, good submissions, has a really impressive slam finish of Nate Richardson, who's fought a few times, has a knee finish of Jamie Simmons in 13 seconds. Jamie Simmons now in the UFC.
He was supposed to fight this Saturday.
Yeah, exactly. So really impressive win there. His lone loss coming to Justin Gonzalez in his last fight out. It was for the featherweight title. Came in the 4th round.
11-0 Justin Gonzalez.
Yeah, Justin Gonzalez is going to be in the UFC. He's a really impressive guy. And that was a really good back and forth fight. And Childers' aggression and pressure kind of worked against him there. And he ended up going in for a takedown and then punched out here. I do think Canaan has the ability to put some hands on him and has some really good grappling as well. So this could be a tough fight, but I just think that the couple years off here, Jake Childers fighting a really good guy in Justin Gonzalez his last time out, and the pressure and style he's going to put on Canaan. Canaan needs to get a finish early, in my opinion. I think after the first round, this comes all Jake Childers. I guess it depends on how it goes, but several years off, coming off a guy who's fought for the LFA title in his last fight, that's a rough kind of re-entry into the high competition here. And I just think Jacob kind of pressures him. It looks a lot, similar to, last week. Maybe it's a closer fight than it should be. Brandon Phillips did put up a really good fight with Aaron McKenzie, but at the end of the day, the tenacity and the pressure and the wrestling, I think, of Jacob in top pressure control should be enough to get him the decision victory. So I'll take Jacob by decision.
Yeah, we're going to see a huge height difference here. Jake's 5'8" to Canaan 6 feet. So that's 4 inches of height there. But obviously Jake is used to fighting taller opponents, only being 5'8". It is a 145 pound fight. So you don't see a lot of 6 feet fighters in 145. I guess that is a little unusual. But yeah, so Canaan's 5-1-0-1-7 total fights. This is probably going to be the closest fight, in my opinion, on the card. One of the closest fights. I've heard a few interviews with Canaan. He's getting rounds in with guys at Extreme Couture. He's actually living with Puna Lele Soriano at the moment because his home is in Hawaii, but he's the past couple months he's been training with guys at Extreme Couture. There's a big Hawaii gathering there. I found the past couple months a lot of guys from Hawaii go to Extreme Couture and train with Eric Nixick and the crew. And obviously they have a huge crop of very good fighters to grind on and get better. And iron sharpens iron. We know that. Jake Childers is training at a Central Illinois Combat Club. He had an insane win streak going. He was an undefeated prospect, 8-0. If he beat, like you said, if he beat Justin Gonzalez, who we're going to be seeing in the UFC, he would be in those shoes. He would be in Justin's shoes. So that fight was huge, man. And like you said, it was back and forth. Justin got that fourth round finish. It was a heart and grit type of fight. And this is only a 3-rounder. Jake's coming off that championship fight, 8-1, 9 total fights. He has a decorated amateur career as well, 14-4 as an amateur. He's got multiple amateur championships. Like, I want to make an argument for Canaan. He's only 23. He's a young gun. He's been fighting for 7 years, and he's only 23. So he was in high school, and he was fighting amateur fighters that are probably 30 years old in high school. When I was in high school, like, I was just on the computer all day. Like, it's crazy. This guy's going, like, fighting grown men at 16 years old. So yeah, he's only 23, but he's an experienced 23-year-old. Jake Childers, 32. He knows his time is now or never. He's got probably a solid 4 years left since he's fighting at 145. He's not going to have, like, once you hit that 36, 37 age threshold, the reaction time starts slowing down, and just there's a lot of cons that come to father time in those lower weight classes. So yeah, he's got to pounce now if he wants to make a name for himself. A huge comeback win here. I'm not saying he's going to get it, but based off my research, he's the more experienced fighter. He's faced the better competition, and I don't know. It's a really close fight, man.
Yeah. So you're leaning Childers, it sounds like.
Yeah, I wanted to make an argument for Canaan, and I can. Like, he lost to Chase Hooper, who's a jiu-jitsu master. Canaan's obviously going to learn from that. I'm interested in the weigh-in photos, but it's Jake's time. If Jake doesn't win here, then he might never get an invitation to the big show. So it's now or never for him.
Yeah, I just like the level of competition Jake's faced and the rhythm a little more, as well as how he's going to go into this fight. The odds are very close. Closest fight of the night, minus 125 for Jake, minus 105 for Canaan. So,
wow.
Yeah.
I think Canaan was an underdog. So
yeah, money has been coming in on Canaan.
Fade the public.
Yeah, fade the public here. I think that Jake is able to grind this one out. I like a little Jake Mark Martin action for myself.
And we'll both predict probably that this will be fight of the night.
Yeah, it's very well matched. But yeah, but also our main event of the evening, that's what we're moving on to now, could very well be the fight of the night. The last Strawweight Championship fight was incredible between Lupita Godinez and Vanessa Demopoulos. And we are on to the main event for this one. And that is between Pierangela. Hopefully I'm saying that right. Pira Rodriguez, I'll just say, and Miss Svetlana Gotsyk.
Ukrainian.
Svetlana Gotsyk, Ukrainian, 12-4, 24 years old. Both these girls in their 20s. Perea Angela is 28 years old. Svetlana, the Phoenix Bird, 24 years old, 13-4 of the Ukraine, I should say. Her first loss was to Weili Zhang when Weili Zhang was 3-1. Weili Zhang won the first round, 38 strikes to 0. And then there was only 10 attempts at strikes from Svetlana in that first round. And then the second round, she just took her down. It was
halfway through the second round, she finished her with punches.
Yeah. So, I mean, yes, she was in there with Weili Zhang.
That was 5 years ago, too.
Yeah, but I mean, I get there's experience being with a girl, but she did nothing. One thing I do like is later.
She was in there with her.
Yeah, at least she was in there with her. Yes. One thing I do like is later in her career, she faced a girl in Magdalena Sormova. Magdalena Sormova is a good grappler. Also a very tall, rangy girl. Svetlana lost by armbar, then came back and won 2 straight fights, both in the first round, one by punches, one by armbar. and then came back and armbarred Magdalena in her
Yeah,
last.
they're 1-1.
And it was just one where when Svetlana can be on top and control, she can really work her grappling well. She has armbar finishes, a lot of them, as well as rear naked chokes. For me, it's if she can get on top of Pierangela, I don't think Rodriguez gets up. However, Rodriguez has physically looked very, very capable so far in her fights. She's a complete striker, does not go for takedowns, tries to stop you from shooting on takedowns, beat Kayla Haracho in her last fight, K-Rock, and that was in 2020.
Did you get the scorecards for that fight?
I did not,
They
but
just had 3 rounds.
Yeah,
it went 3 times 5-minute rounds.
Yeah, it was 3 5-minute rounds, and I think for the most part, Kayla was trying to really shoot in on takedowns and just physically was unable to. So that's the real key here for me. Svetlana in the fights so far, she's only 24 years old. She's started to look better and better. But the fights she's lost have been due to kind of being physically dominated in a way. And then the armbar finish was just because she was unable to get on top. When she's not on top, she does struggle from the bottom, kind of accepts bottom position a little bit. I think the striking favors Rodriguez, but I do think Svetlana overall has just a better MMA game, and experience-wise is definitely in her favor. I don't know of either of these girls' camps, particularly Phoenix, but Svetlana is now over at American Top Team. So she wasn't before this fight. I believe this is her first fight at ATT. So maybe her second. But yeah, I definitely like that. I think that at 24 years old, she should be the fighter who's improving more rapidly. And so I'm going to take Svetlana. I'll take Svetlana to get it down to the floor and get a decision. But I do see a route for Rodriguez to be able to pressure and possibly get the finish herself with strikes. But I just think Svetlana is going to be the better, more prepared fighter, fought the better level of competition, more experience, younger. She should be the quicker of the two. And as long as she doesn't get stuck on the bottom, she should be good. And I haven't seen that out of Rodriguez's game to this point.
Yeah, we got 2 fighters making their LFA debuts. It's odd to see a championship fight with 2 debutantes in the promotion, but they both have made a name for themselves outside of the LFA circuit. Gotsyk, the Ukrainian fighter, she's an armbar specialist. She has 9 submissions, 8 of them come by armbar. She reminds me of Juliana
Stolienko, yes.
Yeah, another armbar. Just that's what she does. Like, these women are so flexible, and if you can master that armbar technique, you're gonna get 8 out of 10 opponents by that, because there's just levels, like you said. There's levels to this game.
Yep.
But yeah, Gotsyk only 24, the younger of the 2, which is surprising because Gotsyk, the 24-year-old, is 13-4, 17 professional fights, while we have the 28-year-old from Panama, born in Venezuela, only 5-0. She's undefeated, but she's only 5-0 and 1-0 as an amateur. She has six times she has stepped in a cage, while her counterpart has stepped into the cage not over 20 times, but 17 times. She started fighting when she was 17. Another woman in high school getting in there with grown women, competing in MMA where anything goes. MMA is like knees, punches, elbows. It's crazy. Like, if I was a dad, I would not want my 17-year-old going in there. But Ukraine is a different region of the world. They grow up a little differently. Very tough fighters come from that part of Europe, and we got the South American Giunta, Rodriguez.
Mhm.
I like how she's undefeated. She's got 4 years of experience. Gotsyk has 7 years of experience, so it's a huge experience differential. Like it's a pretty large margin there. They're both making their LFA debuts. They both haven't fought since, or sorry, Rodriguez did fight last year, 2020, over a year ago. Got those solid 3 rounds in, and you said something about that fight.
Which one? I'm sorry.
Uh, uh, the Kayla Horcho.
Haracho fight, yeah. Kayla Haracho, K-Rock ended up.
You watched
Also,
it? Yeah.
yeah, I watched it, and it was just one where Kayla really wasn't able to get off any of her game and just kind of got outclassed. And Kayla trains out of American Top Team, and now Svetlana trains out of there too. So obviously
Okay.
they're impressed from what they saw.
Yeah, I saw a picture the other day with Rodriguez training with a lot of high-level fighters, women fighters in the UFC. I can't remember their names right now, but she's in good hands as well. They're both coming from respected training camps. They both must have been living in the USA for the past few months since COVID. Since COVID is in the air still, and yeah, I think it's going to be a competitive, probably three. Actually, for 115-pounders, have you seen the finishing rate on these girls?
Yeah, they both.
Rodriguez, 4
Yeah.
to 5, 80%.
Mm-hmm.
And then we got Gotsyk, 12 out of 13, 92%.
And these are
So
probably
for
3-round fights, not 5-round fights.
who?
Both of these are in 3-round fights, I'm saying, for these girls.
Oh, yes,
They
exactly.
got 2
But
more rounds now.
I don't think we're going to see 5 rounds the way these two finish. Like,
yeah, whoever it's really one of these where it might not even be a close fight. It might be whoever gets their game plan looks far superior. I think both girls have the ability to do that, though.
I'm going to take Gotsyk. She's my official pick at the moment. That area, that Ukraine, Russia area, produced so many good fighters. We've even seen good women fighters come from there. And South America, obviously, good fighters too. Brazil, there's a lot of good Brazilian women fighters. It is a really tough fight, but I'm going to take the more experienced
Okay.
and somebody who's only 17, already fighting grown woman. Obviously, knows what she wants to do for the rest of her life. And I'm really, I don't know. I'm really surprised that she did that at such a young age. And her counterpart Rodriguez, 28, started only 4 years ago. So only 20. So she started later in her career.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll take the younger fighter with a lot more
More
fights and
natural.
experience,
Yep.
probably to edge out a decision or that armbar. You can't
Yeah.
count out the armbar.
Yeah, I think 5 rounds. I think a submission could come. I think I see a submission on Svetlana's side or a KO on Rodriguez's side.
Yeah, I wish we had prop bets because I bet you fight to not go the distance would be plus odds.
Yeah, yeah, probably close. But I expect this to be a really impressive fight. We're both going Svetlana. Svetlana is the minus 250 favorite.
Ah,
So
come
yeah,
on. Come
just
on, odds
a little
makers.
bit too wide. A little bit too
Yeah.
wide. Let's make it like minus 170. Let's like
Yeah,
work.
come on. Like Wiley Zhang minus 195. I don't hate that.
Yeah. Well, we'll talk about that later.
Yeah,
Let's not get into that now. But that does wrap us up for the LFA 105 breakdown show with MMA Wagers, Brandon, Aaron from Aaron the Dog Guy. And
oh, you want to see a dog? Look, I got a dog right here.
I see dogs all day long. So it really does. I literally have a dog right here.
Oh, he's dead. He looks dead.
Yeah, he's been passed out the whole time. So he's a podcast pro. Chico is well known.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Our co-host.
Yeah, and I put this in the description for the UFC video tonight, but just a little announcement, and we'll talk about it again as we get forward here on the UFC show. But Brian Pooh Bear Battle, my MMA middleweight cohort, he's on the contenders, or not on the contenders series, the Ultimate Fighter. He's on Tough. Doesn't know if he's on Volkanovski's team or Ortega's team yet, but
you know which team you'd rather be on?
No, I'm not going to talk for
Brian or Ortega, I'd probably say.
but either way, I don't know. Craig Jones is on Australia's
Just because
team.
the American.
Yeah,
He's
but
from
either way, I
with the
don't think. Yeah, I don't think he cares. But he's not going to be able to join me for the UFC breakdowns for the next 5 weeks or so. So Brandon of MMA Wagers, we've been doing the PFL, which is on the channel right now with timestamps. LFA one we're about to put up. I'll let the timestamps up there. And then tonight we are joined. I'm joined with Brandon for the UFC breakdown at 8 p.m. Eastern time, as always. We're going to go through all 13 fights, the 3 title fights, give you our parlays, get into a little more props. All that information is a little more available with the UFC. So get ready for that at 8 p.m. tonight. But for Brandon of MMA Wagers, for Aaron of Aaron the Dog, and of the MMA Stooges, I guess we are now. Whatever that,
we're on a podcast format, so you guys go to Apple Podcasts, MMA Stooges, or Coffee and Knockouts. All the podcasts are right there.
Yep,
Aaron will label them so it's
the
easy to access.
Yep, and it's Coffee and Knockouts with the letter N if we're still under that, or
Coffee
MMA
and
Stooges.
Knockouts, yes.
Yeah, and MMA Stooges, that's probably part of the rebrand right there.
MMA Stooges, let's go.
Yeah, but we got the Schmoes, we got the we got the Stooges, we got all the different characters. But for Aaron, for Brandon,
and eventually we're gonna get Brendan Loughnane on here. Shout out to Brendan Loughnane for shouting us out on Twitter, saying good job, fellas. I'm just gonna leave it at this. Real recognizes real.
Yeah, absolutely. And for Aaron, for Brandon, we'll see you in about 3.5 hours for another breakdown.